Go ahead and call the June 7th board meeting to order. Let the record show that all aldermen are present except for Mr. Companion. He's on vacation. Mr. Glorioso is going to lead us in the invocation, and Mr. Aldermen in the pledge. Please go.
Everybody, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the community in the city of Ocean Springs. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once you figure that out, we'll move it again.
Bad thing about it, I moved the flag.
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tonight we're going to have a presentation from the Capital Group. We contracted with the Capital Group late last year to lobby for us in Jackson, and they're here to tell us, I'll recap the session for the board.
Thank you all, first off, for letting us represent you. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was not only an honor, but also growing up here to be able to give back in that capacity meant so much. So I'm Haley Martin. I'm with the Capital Group. I also have with me John McCormick. He's a part of our firm as well. He is from the auditor's office, has helped us in Jackson this year, but also helps a lot with ARPA funding. And then, of course, we have Joe here to answer any additional questions. So the first slide you'll see, this is the 5-year review. We took data over the past 5 years to come here to show you what we did this year to compare the two. First off, you'll see the 2017 listing. It was for $150,000. If you look up close on your handouts, you'll see where the money came from and what it was used or allocated towards. Next, you'll see 2018, we got $500,000 from the BP oil spill. 19, we got $375,000 from Tidelands, and 20, we got $200,000 from Tidelands. 2021, we got $1.2 million and $34,000 from Tidelands in the general obligation fund. So over the past 5 years, you can see the city of Ocean Springs, we got $2,234,000. If you could change the next slide, please. This is our 2022 review. These numbers right here do not account for any corona relief funding or any ARPA funding. We didn't want the numbers to look misskewed, like as if because the nation was getting so much funding that that was being taken into account. We do have that slide next. So this year in 2022, out of GCRF, we got $2.4 million. Out of the Department of Finance and Administration, DFA, we got $11 million. Out of $3,390,075.750, we got funding from the DMR. And then out of the Capital Improvement Fund, we got $2 million. Our total for this year, and out of the legislator, was $18,590,750. The next slide, please. When you add in the reallocated GCRF funding, we did lobby to make sure that this was reallocated, but we did not want to misstrew anything to the extent that this was our original ask. But we did lobby to make sure that it was reappropriated. So through that reappropriated funds, we got $8.5 million. And then out of ARPA, we will be getting $17,600,000. That funding comes from what the federal government allocated the city, what the federal government allocated the county, who has approximated a match. Then the legislature will be matching both of those funds. So over this year, if you add the reappropriated funds with the funds that were obtained, we have $44,706,707. Okay, next slide. This is the 6-year review. All the funding we've gotten from the legislator over the 6 years, and with the 2022 asterisk, the ARPA and Corona. Next slide. And this is the backing of where all these numbers come from. So first off, I have it listed by piece of legislation, by where we got it from, the amount allocated, and the line item or the line number that you can find that legislation on for that information. This page is every piece of legislation that deals directly with City of Ocean Springs appropriations. Next slide, please. This is a chart that we made that is simply municipality related in general. I'm sure next week at MML you'll be hearing about a lot of these bills. Again, we have it listed by the piece of legislation and the part of the legislation that's pertinent to the municipality. And then lastly, we have general, you can there was one in between, but that's okay. And then the other page you have is just general important legislation, from the tax cut to the equal pay, teachers raise, and just some things that were really a hot hitter and a hot topic in Jackson this year. So, are there any questions or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, pretty impressive numbers.
Thank you.
And, we really appreciate the work you guys put in up there this year. I know it's got us good and bad times up there, but thank y'all for this. This is going to get a lot of things done here. You guys.
It's nice to see some money flowing in, that's for sure. Very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Keep up the good work. Challenge y'all to top it next year.
I know, thanks.
Good luck.
We spent a lot of time up there, and Haley and Joe spent a lot of time up there. And when I wasn't there, but Haley's up there all the time. But I had one of the chairmen. He looked at me and he said, "I don't want to see Haley Martin in my office for the next 4 months." He said, "Every time I turned around, she was staring at my door, wanting something else." But anyway, it's hard work. It was my first real experience with it. It's grueling, it's grinding, and but it is kind of fun. And it was a great effort from y'all. And we appreciate what you've done and contributed to your hometown and your profession. And I think that's what it's all about. So anyway, great work. And we'll be back up. That same guy told me we can start again in October. So we'll get our list together and we'll go back. Okay, thank you. And we have a public hearing on Savannah Estates Phase 2 subdivision preliminary plat approval, PID 60123050100. Planning Commission recommend approval with the inclusion of overhead power line easement for open space. Need a motion to open public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Cox. Second by Mr. Brady. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah, the information you have in front of you, they did go through the Planning Commission back on May 11th. Following that meeting, there was some information that we needed to get from the state prior to bringing it to you all, and that's why there is a gap. But all that has been received now, and it is recommended for approval, and Mr. Morgan has some more details on that approval.
Thanks. I want to take a couple minutes on this just to kind of give you a brief rundown of the development. As was pointed out, this is the second phase of the subdivision. First was approved earlier, consisting of the lots to the north. This particular part is for total of 56 lots. Thank you. It is on R3, so it is a more medium density development. The lots in subdivision comply completely with those requirements. The streets meet our UDC requirements for curb and gutter. It is a somewhat of an unusual development. You can see on the site plan there, in that the lots themselves will be accessed from the rear by narrower residential streets. The lots then will face inward. You pull it on down, you kind of have a little schematic of the layout there, with the lots facing a sidewalk and open area in the front, with, I said, the garages and access off the rear. The intent of the development is to be similar to the Florence Gardens subdivision in Gulfport, which is doing very well, I understand. The plan that was originally put before the Planning Commission involved having that central area between the houses as part of the common open space. The developer has reevaluated that, and they have decided to utilize the part of the power line easement on the south side of the development for part of the common open space in order to meet the parks and open space requirements of the development code. So that it is consistent with what the Planning Commission has recommended. And I think we can answer any questions you might have, or if there are folks from the Pickering firm here that and Elliott Homes may want to answer questions also. Thank you.
So we have received letters of approval from the H1, Department of Environmental Quality, Department of Health, and Jackson County Utility.
That's correct. That's why it was heard by the Planning Commission in March. It's taken till this long to get that review through the state agencies. And we do have those at hand, and it's now before you.
Okay.
This might be a question maybe better directed to Pickering, but it was my understanding they were originally there was going to be a lengthy delay between phase 1 and phase 2. So they're proposing to move forward with the whole thing at one time now. Is that the reason for the approval? I'm just curious.
That's best for Elliott Homes or for Pickering.
I've been watching it on a daily basis. It looks like they're really going after it.
Hi, Sarah Wagner with Pickering. Thank you everybody for hearing our subdivision tonight. So it's my understanding, I don't know if anyone with Elliott Homes is actually here tonight, so it's just going to be me representing them, but it is my understanding that they do plan to move from phase 1 into phase 2. They're just kind of moving pretty quick out there. The contractors out there, it's just easier to keep things moving, get things stabilized, and have it completed. Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Are you guys monitoring the civil work as it goes on down there? Do y'all have somebody monitoring that?
We do now. So we worked that out with Elliott Homes to where we were spending some time during construction helping see through to final plat. So we are helping them through that, yes.
Because I don't want to pass history, but we've got issues still going on with this developer that we need to make sure doesn't happen here.
We know there's been some ongoing issues, and there's also been some change in personnel with Elliott Homes. So I know they're trying to get things straightened out, and also, contracting us to help through construction. I hope we'll.
I'm glad you guys are on site.
Me
And I
too.
hope that y'all
Me too. So if you
hold
see
their feet to
anything,
the fire.
if you see anything, by all means, please let us know. We'll make
Sarah
sure.
will
to
be
get it.
calling you, I'm sure.
Yep, she's got my number.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against the development? Okay. And
No, I don't make a motion to come out of public hearing, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
by Mr. Jenkins, second by Mr. Blackwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision preliminary plat for Savannah Estates Phase 2.
Second by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. Aldermen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. One little housekeeping item that I forgot to mention up top. We're going to move item 9A from the back of the agenda to right after public agenda, public comment. D.
9 what?
9D. D is in dog. D. That's right. 9D, excuse me.
After
Okay, now is the time we allow the public to comment on any agenda item. If there's something on the agenda that you'd like to comment about, you will have 3 minutes to do so. We will only hear 2 comments on either side of an agenda item. And there'll be a maximum of 30 minutes allowed for this part of the agenda. So if you have a comment on anything on the agenda, you can step to the podium, state your name and address, and let us know what you want to say.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Ed Holton. That's my wife, Margaret. We are the owners of 3819 Shawmont Circle, and I'm here to speak on agenda item 9D, which y'all just moved up. Thank you very much. This is a tree appeal to remove a tree in our yard. And with all due respect to Mr. Stringfellow's opinion, which was to deny that permit, as owners of the house, we disagree. And we contend that this tree is planted too close to the house and needs to be removed. Let me give you some data to support our argument. First off, the tree in dispute is located 17 feet from the southeast front corner of our home slab. It is a southern magnolia. While beautiful trees, they are also the largest tree in the magnolia family. We have 3 basic arguments. Number 1, the tree is close enough to damage the roof and sides of our house. It is already touching the roof. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, this kind of tree can grow 50 to 90 feet tall, can be as wide as it is tall, although other sources say that it would be 40 to 60 feet wide. Now clearly, if it's only 17 feet from the house and they grow 40 to 60 feet wide, it explains why it's crowding the house right now, and there's no room for further growth outward for this tree. Our second argument is that the root system is threatening our slab. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, roots on magnolia trees extend 4 times the width of the tree canopy. 4 times the width of the canopy, which means the roots are already under our slab. And a magnolia is a shallow-rooted tree with roots typically only 1 foot or less deep in the ground. So it's potentially damaging to a slab. The conventional advice that I found on the internet from garden centers was for trees of this size to plant them 30 to 50 feet from a house. So we feel the need to stop the root growth under our slab before there's some serious damage. Thirdly, our argument is that it's a storm damage threat. Being as close as it is to the house and a tree of this size, that in a hurricane, that it becomes a threat to either fall on the house. So we request that you issue us a permit to have it removed because it's simply planted too close.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to any agenda items? Okay. So what we're going to do now is we'll move on to item 9D, and we'll discuss the recommendation of Mr. Stringfellow to remove the tree.
Mayor, if I may make a comment. I know myself and Mr. Cox have gone out and looked at the tree. Although it does appear to be a somewhat healthy tree, it is surrounded by some live oaks that either may hinder it at some point or it will hinder them at some point, and it is extremely close with the roots under the slab already. I'm going to make a motion to recommend approval of the request to remove the magnolia.
Motion.
I'll second that motion.
Wagner, second by Mr. Cox. Do you have any comments? Okay. Any other comments on?
So those two over there to the side, those are the oaks that you're referring to?
To the right.
To the right, yeah.
Looks like those
There's
oaks would really
five
take
total.
off.
Very crowded.
So your argument is to remove this one, these other two will drop.
Plus, it's like you said, 17 feet from the house, the base of the tree.
I know, but that other oak over there looks like it's just as far away, but they could be from an angle of
That's a little
the
further.
I'm not looking at those, I couldn't even see. I went out there, so.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of denying the, allowing the tree to remain?
No, it's
I mean,
No.
allow the tree.
Approve to remove.
That's right, allow the tree to be removed. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to new, old business. We have no old business, we have some new business to discuss. Carolyn, we want to discuss the pre-construction tax abatement application on 1106 Government Street.
Yeah, what you have in front of you, and these come up very, very rarely, but we do have our tax abatement ordinance that we do in conjunction with the county through state legislation that allows it. Our ordinance does define a specific geographic area that's eligible, a minimum improvement value that has to be included, which I believe is 20,000, and it allows the city to approve a tax abatement for city taxes only for up to 80% of the assessed value. And that, whatever the county assesses it at, and then the city taxes, you can abate for up to 80% for up to 7 years, is the way our ordinance reads. And there have just been some questions. This particular application is for the Old Chandler Outfitters building on Government Street. So there have been some questions about, just wanted to be able to discuss it so that you understood what it is that you were considering and approving. So that's what's before you. It's a pre-construction, which means they haven't applied for construction permits yet. And once construction is finished, we put together their the increase in value is based on the value of their permits. We send that over to the county. They're the ones that actually do the final math to determine the assessment.
That's 80% of the improved value.
Correct.
So what's being paid now will continue being
Right,
paid.
right.
And only 80%.
80% of the improved value, and it's the improved assessed value, not the actual dollars that they spend on the project. It's whatever the new assessment comes in, and then whatever the city taxes are applied to that, depending on what the millage is at the time. And then 80% of that can be abated for up to 7 years. So it's been a while since we talked about that program, so I thought it would be good to go ahead and bring that to
Still
you.
falls within the zone.
It is in the current eligible physical activity. Mhm.
I've been kind of vocal about this project, and it's nothing against the developer. The developer and I are friends, but we really, I think, are traveling on a slippery slope here, because we're talking about abating taxes on some of the most valuable real estate in the hottest real estate market on the coast, and probably in South Mississippi. And when I look at incentivizing construction, I look to do that in urban renewal type areas where we're not getting development. I've expressed this to the developer and his consultant that it's just, I just don't know if it's good practice. I think what's going to happen here is we're getting ready to get into a domino effect, and everything that goes on Government Street in Washington is going to want a tax abatement. And there's some pretty good sized proposals that are out there right now. And although we make tax dollars off of them, we make a lot of tax dollars downtown, but it costs a lot of money to maintain downtown also. New lighting, traffic studies, just a lot of stuff that goes on down there that eats up a lot of tax dollars also. So, and then where does it stop? I mean, if we start giving tax abatements, right after another here, where does it actually stop? And that's my concern. It's nothing against this project. It's a great project. But, you probably got about $40 million that's getting ready to happen in development in that area right now. And everybody's going to come for a tax abatement. We're in the process of redoing our comprehensive plan. We've got some maps that y'all are looking at on what an urban renewal market looks like and where we think the urban renewal should be. And I think that's what we need to focus on, incentivizing growth. Like I told the developer, if this project was a block north, I would be all for that. But, that's just my opinion. That's what y'all have to decide whether you want to do.
Mayor, I think one issue is that we've already opened that floodgate way before this administration.
That's true.
And, I don't understand how we can tell somebody no at this point when the neighbors were told yes just several years ago.
Well, several years ago, the market wasn't near as active as it is right now.
That's not true.
This is
The market was really good 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yes. We were doing, our sales tax and everything in the downtown has continually just increased.
I get that.
And we've been doing tax abatements since 2011 that I have a chart for, and that has done nothing but improve our downtown. And I think when we lose sight of what we have in our downtown, that we feel like we don't need to do it anymore because we are where we are. We take stuff for granted. I think that's not good either. I think that the Chandelier Outfitter building is a terrible looking building. No offense, Jordan. He bought it that way. It continues to look that way. He's willing to invest the money to make that better than what's there instead of just opening, instead of putting some paint on it and putting a sign on it. And I think that it falls within the district. And I think by right he's asking for what he can get. And I mean, I can name off some of these buildings. I mean, some of these buildings I don't believe would be what they are today unless we'd have done this.
Would there be any room for negotiation on the length of time? We don't have to go a full 7 years. We don't have to go a full 80%.
It's not stated that you have to do 80% for 7 years. You can do whatever you want to do.
I think there's some give and take there.
It is up to, and I clarified with the county that we could set it. We use this to set that percentage, so yes,
I'm
it
just
is.
saying now, my whole point is not about this development. My point is moving forward. If you don't put a plug in this hole, you're gonna be sorry. I'm telling you.
Well, and maybe we need
Yeah,
to
just-
set
The
a
districts need to be redistricted well and change the districts. But right now, the district is where that building sits.
That's the answer. We're going to have to figure out the district.
I can see
Well,
both sides of the
that's the
argument, most
reason
definitely,
we're
but
doing our comprehensive plan. And I fought to do that comprehensive plan because things have changed in the past 12, 13 years as it was done the last time, and it's got to be addressed. So I mean, like I said, it's up to y'all. I just wanted to let you know what my feelings on it. So if somebody wants to make a motion,
I think the city is still going to be whole by this because they're still going to pay the taxes that they're paying now on the building that's in front of them. They're going to improve it, $3 million is what we're being told.
they
And
assessed at about
the
$400,000.
difference is what's going to be an 80% rate. So I think I'm fine with moving forward with that. If we need to address the zone from here forward, then we need to address that. And then, but we can't really wait until somebody has something on the table and then say no.
I'll make a motion that we approve the pre-construction tax abatement application for 1106 Government Street, parcel ID number 61190007.000 mixed use development.
Got a motion by Mr. Aldermen,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Cox. We'll roll call.
Aye.
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 We got 2, 4, 5, Yes, and no.
And to clarify, that was for the 80% in 7 years.
Yeah, wasn't there a
You're doing
difference?
the whole thing.
For the improved.
Yeah, but I mean, it's,
Yes.
those are the two factors I just wanted to confirm. Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda, while I'm on a roll here, is barricades for special events. And I asked them to put this on the agenda because we've got barricades and portalets and just other items that are requested by people who are having events downtown or in the city. Some of them think they're getting them for free, some of them have to pay for it. So I think we need to clarify exactly, when somebody requests services from the city, if it's not a city-sponsored or co-sponsored event, I think we need to get away from just letting people who are putting on events have these services for free out. I really think that's, and some of them are getting them, some of them are not. So I just want to say that I think we need to readdress this barricade and other services for these events.
And I agree. I think that in 2017, when I first came into office, when a person turned in an application for an event, it went to all the departments, Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department, everybody involved, and they turned in what their dollar amounts are, and they should turn in exactly what it's going to cost the city to do it. And then the application was turned back out to the person that turned it in, and then it was up to them if they accept it or not. And I agree. I think that if we're gonna put guys out there in trucks and trailers delivering barricades, then they should be paid for it.
Mayor, I think from a legal perspective, we have to we can't just give things without a finding by this board. That would be an illegal donation. So I think whatever we need to do, it needs to be forward. Every group has to come through us, and we have to approve.
I agree. We just had one slip through on the consent agenda a couple of weeks ago that evidently had been going on for a long time, and they just assumed. But we at that point we approved it. We let it go, and I think just going forward into the future, we need to all be on the same page with these city services.
I'm sure it's gonna end up coming into public safety in some instances, whether we force them to have the barricades for their event. Some of them might not want them, but they're gonna have to pay for them.
So would we be able to do that?
To require it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I think.
And charge?
under public safety.
Right. Okay.
You can make it contingent on them having the parade or whatever they're having on paying us to use our barricades.
It comes down to whatever the department manager says. I mean, whatever the application calculates out to be from all the departments is what it is. I mean, and if they don't want to do it, then that's a chance that they got to make a choice.
Okay.
Now, will this in any way address the lack of barricades that we have as a whole? Because we are still lacking.
Ken's got a good
We
plan
already
for
got
that.
plans for that.
Yeah.
Purchasing them.
Yeah, we're getting ready to purchase a bunch of barricades. Okay. This is just for discussion, no action here. Is there anything that needs to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Yeah, the street thing.
Yeah, the 90. Go ahead.
That was
That was department. That wasn't it.
No, but the department. So, and denying it in the department report, in the consent agenda.
Item V, I think is what she's talking about, right?
V.
V. Yeah.
I'll
That's
pull V
still
just in case, and we'll make a motion separately. I'll pull item V, Mayor.
A motion to approve the consent agenda without item B. Got a motion, Mr. Anthony? Second by Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, now item B, out of the consent agenda.
So I'll make a motion to approve the tree report minus 3819 Shawmont. Yeah, it's just a formality.
Motion by Mr. Blackman.
Second.
Second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to department reports. Under city clerk, claims docket. Anyone have anything to pull from the claims docket claims? Okay, is
Make
there
a
a
motion to
approve?
approve the document claims, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Enby,
Second.
second by Mr. Aldermen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, set monthly budget report. Does anyone have anything, questions on the monthly budget report?
I'll make a motion to approve the monthly budget report.
Motion by Mr. Aldermen,
Second.
second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next item, authorized budget amendments. Patty, you want to address this?
I can. Last time, I think I did, and I'm not sure that y'all had any questions. So, I mean, I guess y'all want me to kind of go through it, or did y'all read it already
I
intently?
read it. I don't know about intently, but I read it.
Well, there is one thing in here that I will point out since Jennifer had that question. Under 2%, I am doing a budget amendment. It's listed under public safety. It's for $225,000, and it is for the barricades. So it is in here. The rest of it, some of these are due to the insurance costs going up on the buildings, and then just some of it's daily different things. I think that sewer ended up having some issue, a big truck that's got to be worked on. Is that right, Alan?
Yep.
The back truck.
Back on.
Yeah, it's got to have some major work. Most of the other, as you know, we've started using a temp agency, so I removed some money from payroll and put it in a different line item. I think that's been pretty successful. Is that correct, Alan?
Yes, doing good.
Yeah. So I think we're going to get some employees that way. We pay the temp agency for 90 days. They can try them out, and it brings in a whole new pot of people to us. So I think that's working out. Y'all have any questions about any of it?
Are we getting all those spots filled now? By the
Well,
temp, with the temp? Just about, yeah. I think
We got
one
3
left.
temps, is that right? Right now, landscaping got one of them.
Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, I got 5.
I think I'll have to look and see, but I think that's working out. The main things in here, there's nothing really except normal day-to-day. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much housekeeping.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to authorize the budget amendments.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Enby, second by Mr. Cox. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is general public comment. Public is invited to address the board for up to 3 minutes each, or a maximum of 30 minutes. Only 2 speakers will be allowed per side of each issue. Please step forward if you'd like to address the board and identify yourself and your address.
My name is Haley Hill. This is Mario Camps. We are partners. We're here about a rooster problem. As you can probably tell from the dark circles under my eyes, I haven't been getting much sleep lately. I did request to be on the agenda, but was denied, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to drive all my points home in 3 minutes. So, we bought a home in Stark Bayou Residence, or subdivision, on April 20th. You can see page 1 of that handout. It shows our home, as well as a star next to this, one of the many roosters in the neighborhood, where his perch is, right by my bedroom window. Since we moved in, I've been getting woken up on average between 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. However, yesterday he set a record. It was 3:30 in the morning. We both work full time. We have 3 small children, and it is, let me tell you, unbearable. I am beyond my wits' end. We began inquiring with the neighbors both in person and on our neighborhood Facebook page to try to understand the relationship that our neighbors have, this community has with these roosters that have allegedly been living in the area for, depending on who you talk to, 5 to 7 years, roaming, running at large without consequence. We got backlash and immediate immediate backlash and harassment from some of the neighbors. 2 of the 6 people that I spoke with on Breezy Hill Avenue, Breezy Hill Drive, where I live, 2 of the 6 people also signed a petition that I'll address here at the end, which Mayor Holloway has in his hand. I attempted to run the rooster away from the perch, did a lot of research, when I found out they're territorial animals. If you let them know they're not welcome, they will leave on their own. That's what I was told. Come to find out, pretty quickly, the neighbors didn't take kindly to me trilling at him and clapping my hands and running him out of the tree in the morning. And I found out that he actually lives across the street as his primary residence, where there are some hen houses. That's been an ongoing situation for a long time. I immediately engaged animal control. Once the situation escalated with the neighbors in the neighborhood, that's when I learned the history when Mr. Adam Wilson came out to our home. He told me about back in March when another family had complained because they were new to the area, actually new to the state, and they couldn't sleep because of the wild roosters. He came out, did something to put one of them down or get him out. I don't know what happened. The neighbors literally cussed him out in the street, and he was told by the mayor's office, he said, to adopt a policy of inaction and to stop getting rid of the roosters. So we moved in April. He said that he planned to put a cage in the yard. We actually went out and purchased the cage because he said it could take months, who knows how long. We spent $150 on the cage, $30 on feed, and $500 on camera systems that we felt were necessary to protect our home and the assets that we had just purchased to try to capture this rooster because it was our only legal option to do so. I could read through reports of all the different times we engaged with the police department on this issue, May 16th, May 17th. I have a long history of book of evidence of pictures and videos of this rooster roaming. I'm sorry I can't present a slideshow today to be able to let you witness what I'm talking about. June 2nd, spoke with Mr. Mark Dunstan and the Animal Control again. June 4th, called police out to the house again and file another report. It's been an ongoing issue. To wrap up, I know I'm over time. The petition that we are presenting here today is a call to action for enforcement of nuisance animal ordinances, particularly 5-5 and 5-7, for confinement to premises and animals running at large. We, the undersigned, are the residents of Stark Bayou neighborhood located in Ward 4. I did speak with Mr. Papania prior last week as well on this issue, and he provided me he was going to be out today. We are concerned about nuisance roosters roaming at large in our neighborhood without consequence. We demand that the City of Ocean Springs and the Ocean Springs Police Department actively enforce city ordinances related to nuisance animals roaming at large.
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, you want to comment on any of this?
Yes.
Pardon?
Get the vicious chicken alderman comment over.
I have the ordinance up, and nuisance animals and animals at large, they are to be kept on their own premises. And if they can identify who the owner is, then they are to be approached and they are to keep their animals on their property. And if they cannot,
I'm aware of the
found.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Ms. Bird is very aware of it. Adam is not incompetent by any means. He's a fine young man, and he does a lot of hard work for everybody seated in this room. I doubt very much that he was told by the mayor's office to not do his job. Now, as I've explained to this young couple, and we both agreed, traps don't work on birds, on roosters. They're apparently smarter than cats, because cats will walk right up into one. Adam has tried to catch them. He did successfully dispatch a rooster a while back, but wasn't very happy with the way he did it. Don't do that. He is continuing to try to work it out. And I don't know, other than to say that he is incompetent, I don't know what else you could accuse him of, and I would not stand for that. So he will continue. I believe in our last conversation with this young lady that there is no true ownership of the bird, is there?
Well,
Is there a person that lives there that truly owns the bird that I can charge?
In my opinion, yes,
Okay,
sir.
then if you'll give me a holler again, we'll work on finding out if they are in fact that person. They can be charged by the animal control officer, and also, I don't know if I explained it to you prior or if Adam has, but the disturbing the peace statutes also apply if there is indeed an owner. If it is a feral animal, it doesn't belong to anybody. It's annoying to everybody. And I'm not gonna make fun of Adam, but as you all have met him, he's not built for speed chasing a rooster. I'm sorry,
How
he just isn't.
many are we talking about? Are we talking about one,
At
three?
least 3 as of right now. 2 are always in the yard of the people across the street from us. They wander occasionally. They always start and end their day. Like I said, I'm gathering evidence, so I don't know where this is going to end up going.
I think
So,
the key
okay,
here is
thank
going to
you.
be trying to
Thank you.
identify who the owner is. That's going to be the catch. Because until we do that, we're not going to be able to implement any types of citations.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to address the board on any topic related to the city?
On any topic, not you.
Any topic related to the city?
Good evening. I'm Linda Williams. I've been in here before with you all. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to the board members that was in attendance to the memorial. That was awesome. It was good to see people out there. That was just a really good show. Secondly, I have an issue that I have brought to the city concerning some dead trees that's on the city's right-of-way. I've not spoke to Mr. Alan Ladner yet. I did call his office several times and spoke to Tanya. I was kind of frustrated because she had told me that Mr. Ladner had tried to call me on several occasions and I only had one missed call, which I didn't realize it was him at the time. There was no voicemail left on my phone. But we have 2 huge dead pine trees. We've got limbs that have been blown onto our roof. We've got a brand new roof on our home. We don't want to see a limb go through the roof, which is bound and determined to happen with hurricanes coming. I asked somebody to please come out and take a look at these trees. Through Miss Tanya, I was told that Mr. Ladner said the trees belong to us. These trees are over a drainage ditch that runs under the ground. It's no way possible it could be us because we may even tear things up to try to get these trees out. I don't know. But it is definitely on the city's right-of-way, on the easement. I spoke to Mr. Stringfellow, who went out and looked at these trees as well. And he said he tends to agree with me that it couldn't possibly be us that own the trees. It's on the easement itself where the ditch is, right above the culvert. So I just wanted to see if I could get some help decide what are we going to do with these trees. I know they're coming down. They have a huge limb right now that's very close to our fence. And like I said, we already have limbs being blown on top of the roof.
What's your address?
4110 Yosemite.
Yosemite. That's the ones Lloyd went and looked at. Lloyd went and looked at them.
I don't know. The problem is, I keep hearing that somebody went by our house, but nobody is actually talking to us. That's what we don't get a phone call. We don't, Someone actually came by yesterday. My husband said he wasn't sure who it was, and the gentleman said, do you mind, or can we have permission to drive a tractor over that easement area back there? He never identified himself or anything. My husband was half asleep, so we don't know what that was about.
But we have to get permission to cross that easement because you're actually the owner of that easement. The homeowner owns the easement. The city don't own the easement. The easement just gives us permission to work in that area.
So this culvert that runs underneath the road where these pine trees are, that belongs to us? The culvert, the whole thing?
If it's not obstructed and drainage, then there's nothing that we basically can do. That's the only time we'll take down a tree in the easements if it's obstructing drainage.
Is the tree on her property then?
It's on the easement. Lloyd and them went out there and looked at it twice.
Easement is not right of way.
Easement's not like a right of way. And that's just a ruling that we've always
We can't take
used.
down a tree on private property.
No.
So you're probably going to take that.
So you're saying that's our property, that easement?
We just have a drainage access to the property.
We would be limited to anything that affects the drainage and nothing else. Unless the tree affects the drainage, then the city cannot go on. It would be like going on private property.
That's just a common rule we've always used. If it's an easement like that. If it was affecting the drainage, then we could do something with it.
Yeah, I'm just not that concerned about the drainage as I am the roof of our house. I mean, this tree is huge, one of them. There's actually two that are both dead, and we don't know what to do with them. So, I mean, if we damage the culvert, then who's gonna repair the culvert?
Well, we'd have to come in and repair the culvert, but hopefully the tree won't damage the culvert.
Well, I mean, if we get somebody in there to take the thing down, you know, it's gonna have to get some kind of equipment in there to take it down. So then,
I understand.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question real quick. We pulled this plat up on the county website. If I'm facing your home, is it to the left or to the right?
To the right.
To the right. So it backs up to the houses along Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's where the easement is.
We've talked about this before. We can have them look at it. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Name's William Odom. Got suckered into being here because people who were going to speak didn't show up. But I appreciate the Alderman, Mayor. Thank you all for allowing me a few moments to speak. My situation is somewhat similar, but we have a piece of property that is owned by the city. It's the 10 or 15 feet that runs from the road to the individual's property line. We had a situation to where on this property, the individual was cleaning their yard but hired a work crew to come in and remove all of the trees and underbrush from the roadway to their property. This is the back of their property. And in doing so, that obviously tore down what we considered to be a privacy screen as well as a sound buffeting area. And the young lady's intent was to originally, she wanted a additional driveway from her backyard onto our street. She is on the street north of us. The city did obviously turn her down for that request, but the damage had already been done. My comment is that as you go through the municipal codes as well as the permitting for tree removal or maintenance in the city, they both refer to the fact that public property that is owned by the city cannot be vandalized, cannot be cut, cannot be cleared in any way. And I believe that under the UDC code, the whole intent is to create green spaces and sound buffers as well as to aid in limiting pollution as well. So what happened with the neighbor next to us, this is the second neighbor that has decided to just go on that easement between the road and their property and remove trees. And one of the other neighbors was granted a driveway because it was on the side of his property. And so if neighbors continue to do this, there won't be any buffer between us and the backyard of all these other neighbors. Right now, I live on Mimosa Cove. Now, when I come home, I get to see and hear all of the traffic going up and down, I think it's called Mayfair Court or something. So now, between this lady's house and her neighbor, I see all of the traffic, I hear all of the traffic. So my neighbors and I are requesting that the city look at this, and I know that there is a, I'm sorry, I ran out of time. I know that you have some type of way of either citation or at least a cease and desist until the city approves. And my understanding is the mayor along with aldermen are the only ones that can approve any work like that being done on public property. And at least without having gotten a permit or something of that nature. So it's my request that we look at.
We'll look into it. Thank you, Mr. Oak.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
I'm Katie Yap. I live on Parktown Drive in Parktown. We've got the issue of flooding out there. Nothing has been done about it. Money has been allocated every year for it. They fix the other people's, but they do not fix Parktown. Parktown has never, ever been fixed for drainage. Now, I went over to the graveyard and spoke with the lady that's secretary over there. She said she's made many phone calls down here. Nobody responded to the graveyard ditch that goes around. I do have pictures of it, if y'all want to see it. The boys did clean, but they put more water on us, coming from 90. Water got 14 inches the other day when we had that rain in my yard. So what are we going to do about Parktown drainage? They take the money and put it somewhere else.
No, Miss Katie, they have not. Carolyn, what is the status of the-
Trentwood,
They're under review.
got theirs fixed.
Trentwood was the initial phase 1. Parktown is phase 2. It is under review at this time. When they let the contracts, the cemetery ditch is part of that project. So I can't give you a timeline on it. It's under review. But do we have any kind of estimate on the?
Well, it's going to depend. We have to send them up to MDA for concurrence, and so I can't really say. As long as the apparent low bidder clears their Section 3 review, then we should be able to. Then I can give you a better timeline.
Okay.
So I should know something more, maybe in a week, as far as a timeline, and if we're going to have to rebid or whatever.
How long does it take to get a drainage fix in Ocean Springs? Because I know if they had the money,
Well, it depends on the funding
Supervisor
source in the same
Five
way.
told me that
So-
all the time. He told me when they got the money for
We
Parktown.
already had to rebid it once, so.
We've had to rebid it. Bid was high. When you're dealing with monies that are coming from other sources, they have to be spent the proper way. And Carolyn said that she should have something in about a week. You're welcome to call up and check with them at that point, and they will have some more better information for you.
I should know by then if any of the contractors were able to be awarded, or if we're going to have to rebid. I won't know for about another week.
What's wrong getting the ditches cleaned out all the way around to the trailer park? That's the only outlet we got for our water to get out of there because it's coming down from 90, Groveland, and from the back.
That ditch behind the cemetery was cleaned about 2 weeks ago. Because you walked out there and talked to the operator and stopped him when he was
No,
working.
not the main ditch that goes all the way around.
He cleaned that all the way, Miss Katie, all the way around to where it met the ditch at Trentwood. Because I met him at Trentwood with it. Because they called me because you was on the job site and they was afraid you was going to get hurt.
All the way.
We're not going to cut all the bushes along that ditch. We're not going to cut all that down. If you do, it's going to erode.
No, I'm talking about going all the way around to the trailer park. That's the only way our water can get out of there. Water got 14 inches.
But there's no water that
Right,
comes
Katie,
from Highway
thank
90.
you. We will have some information for you in a week or so.
And I didn't
Check
appreciate
with
you
us.
saying
Saying what?
All right, this
water
is not,
never got in your house.
This is not a back and forth.
That was
It's
no.
not a back and forth. We just take it under advisement
Yes,
and let's move on. Anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay, we're moving on to Mayor and Alderman's Forum. Ms. Burgess, anything?
Yes, so, really quickly, sorry, I had it up. Daryl, is there any update on the court date for 3412 Hermitage?
Find out.
Because that one's been sitting there for a while.
I can find out.
And it's, yeah, I mean, I know we've said it, but we need to get a full date on that.
No, it's up to the court. It's up to
That's
the
on
court.
there. Yeah, I know, but I don't know if we don't have a status on it. That would be great. And then, I sent, my director spreadsheets out, so y'all should already have them in anticipation of your meeting, and I do appreciate that. And then, Alan, if you can, look at those trash cans for, the boat launch. Because Stephen, did you get those trash cans, the boat launch? No, but they're in. We did determine they were in.
Is that the same ones?
The metal.
Patty
Is
did?
that the three, I'm sorry, is that the three that I moved from the bridge? Did
Yeah.
they get moved over there?
I think that's what we're talking about.
We don't know where they are now, I guess.
Alan, you may have to ask Tom.
Tom's probably got them in his storeroom if he's the one that moved them.
There's three of them.
Yes.
That should move over there.
Okay, perfect.
And those three go to the
Fabulous. That's all I got. Thank you.
I just have one thing. So the work that's going on the board with the landscaping is looking good. I guess I was under the assumption that the gardening club was going to be doing a lot of some of that work with them, and I don't think it's really like that. I think they're helping to design it and kind of point the finger. But Mike Hill is going to need some help for a few days over there. You know, there's just too much change for the amount of people they have. So if we have somebody in parks or from another department that can give them a hand for a couple of days, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, we put some extra people out there with him last week.
Well, we got the temp agency, so.
So we
Yeah, we
I went
deployed
out there and looked
those
and Mike
guys
said we
and
get
not
some
more.
help.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. That's it. That's all I got.
Lloyd got pulled out there last week on the date that I had told everybody in my ward asphalt was gonna be done, and now I'm getting a black eye, so. They don't get
Asphalt will be done tomorrow.
It's my fault.
Hey, Alan, besides the sidewalk right here around 411, there's one down on the corner of Mason and Oakland on the east side of the road there. That's got a little lippage there too. And I believe it's 282. The culvert that was collapsed there, have we done anything with that yet?
No, we need to cut that driveway. I didn't want to tear up no more driveways to get some of the other ones fixed.
Now, on that one, Alan, is that the one on Holcomb y'all?
Yeah.
talking about? The culvert was an extension of the driveway, where it's collapsed is not under the driveway, so we could go ahead and take that culvert out for the time being and let that ditch drain.
Make his driveway narrow.
But the driveway don't go, it's yard.
It sticks
Where
out.
the culvert is collapsed in the yard.
I think it's got a hole in the middle too.